Hey, this is Dottis Life coming to you with a video about the CZP. Comment was made that people want to see more of it and the upgrades and the things that I've done to it. All right, so we're about to go ahead and dive in and get it. Now, we changed our names again, and hopefully we can just stick with this one. I do like this one. So we're going to be Dottis Life video. Here's the P10c. All right. As you can see and probably tell, that majority of this is not stock. So I want to get into the details of everything that I have here. All right, first and foremost, let's dive straight into the plate. I have a C&H Precision's optics plate on here. I did get the CZ plate, however, the screws and things such as that have been stripped. So therefore I have to have a gunsmith remove the optic, because this optic is stuck and permanently on here as of right now. All right, so I want to try out the CZ plate to see, but C&H Precisions, of course, they do good with their plates. I have the front and rear sight that is going to be Dawson sights. They're co-witness height sights. They're not really suppressor height sights. As I have my CZ P10f, I have suppressor height sights on there. But these co-witness sights, all right? I have the Holosun 507C on here. That is the 32 MOA reticle with the 2 MOA dot, all right? And this is the X2, so the 507C X2, all right? Still got the solar, the pad, the smaller buttons, not the larger buttons. I actually like the larger buttons. However, they could not continue to use those due to copyrights and things such as that. The larger buttons really belong and is a design of the RMR. All right, let's move on. The finish of the slide is going to be slightly different because I have, if I can have this focus in on there, right, it will not focus. However, I'm going to throw some pictures in. What I have here are ports, all right, 2 ports from Mac. I should have been showed clear. However, we have no ammunition in the magazine and we have no ammunition in the firearm itself. All right, both the barrel is ported and the slide is ported itself. All right, so that's going to, of course, for the functionality of things, cut weight on the slide itself, but then also allow gases to seep before the projectile has exited the barrel, allow reduce muzzle rise and also felt recoil. So the gases will bleed off shortly before exiting the barrel. The slide will have the cycle of operation and it feels light. I'm going to go ahead and throw in some video footage right here of how flat, just how flat. Ported slide, the Dawson, the C&H Precisions, and then the Holosun 507C is where we at so far. Let's jump down to the trigger itself. Overwatch precision trigger. All right, as you can see, I got the black and the gold. I realistically should have just went ahead and blacked it out. I'm gonna start doing that with my firearms. Instead of adding too much color, I'm gonna just start blacking everything out so that way everything looks uniform. And then if I wanna change it, I'll go ahead and change it. However, I do have the gold trigger safety here, Overwatch trigger. All right, let's go ahead and dive down into the Stipple Job. Now the Stipple Job, I have the large back strap and had the large back strap on here prior to it being stippled. So keep in mind that when you're doing a Stipple Job, that the back strap that you have on there at that time will be molded into as a solid frame, and you no longer will be able to remove that back strap. With my PDP, I am able to remove the back strap. However, with this, it's pretty much solid and it's one piece now. So they did the entire work as much as they could. They did the frame itself my thumb pad, and then they did a double undercut slightly, no, a single undercut, excuse me, single undercut, because right up under here, there was not enough meat in order for them to get access to under there without starting to mess with other mechanical devices such as the magazine release and then getting into the trigger. So it wasn't enough meat to come off from there. All right. We have the TL light. That's pretty much what I run. I have pretty much all stream lights. The stream light, in my experience, have been well off with the exception of one. I did send that one to Streamlight and they were able to repair it, but then unfortunately it did break again. I don't know if it was due to water damage or whatever. I do not baby these firearms. I just really beat them up and do what I can. Other than that, the whole point of me doing this video is because people are asking, and let's really talk about what it is to have a fighting pistol. So in my opinion, this package here is really the true definition of a fighting pistol, because it is big enough to go ahead and fight with, but then it's also small enough to conceal. And what I mean by small enough, because I use that very loosely, because I'm a bigger guy and I like to conceal larger size frames such as the PDP and the CZP-10F. I like carrying firearms that are large. I like carrying full-size firearms. I'm not really heavy into the pocket rockets nor smaller firearms. I believe they're uncomfortable and they're uncomfortable to shoot. What do I mean by this? Is a fighting pistol. This is a decent sized pistol. I can strike with this. I can really get involved and it gets cinched down. I have plenty of leverage. Without the extended magazine, I still have a bit of room. P10F shines in my opinion because it's way more than enough. Really, F is pretty large. That's a large firearm. Absolutely love it. But adding the +2 allows it to where I have that same idea there, and I'm not really being pinched right there at that ledge. So this allows me to really cinch down on this firearm and get to work. Stipple jobs allow it to, it's a permanent solution, and the grip texture is perfect for me, not to tear up clothing, not to wear and tear on my skin. And having a stipple job, until you actually buy or purchase the service of getting a stipple job done, you will not understand how functional a stipple job is. This is the chaos. This was done by ATEI here in Michigan, in Taylor, Michigan. I'm in Southfield, Michigan, but in Taylor, Michigan is where they do it. And having a stipple job, this is the chaos medium texture. I should go for the more extreme instead of the medium. I should actually get the chaos and then actually get the rough one. But most of my firearms have the medium on there. However, this really cinches down in your hand, including with wet, oil, all kinds of conditions. Really cinch down in your hand, and you cannot explain a stipple job until you have one. I understand that they have the grip tape out there and these different things. However, after so long it comes off, and after so long it starts to move and shift on you. This will not, all right? If we're speaking about, to dive into the trigger really quick, the Overwatch trigger, once again, we're clear. The Overwatch trigger is pretty decent in my opinion. And the reason why I say decent is because we have the many things without exposing what I did to the Glock. I'm going to speak about what I did to my Glock 45 chambered in 9mm. Let's watch here with the trigger, the Overwatch, right? So we have our little bit of take up. And we have when we have our take up, that's there. But you have this little slight creak, but then it breaks very clean. And then we have our reset. Very short and audible and extremely tactile. Boom, here. What I enjoy about this trigger is it springs forward exactly as I need, allowing me to get aggressive on that trigger, and it has a firm enough wall for me to get aggressive on the trigger. So I most definitely appreciate that. The Overwatch trigger, in my opinion, is very good. However, my experience, which I have in my CZ P10F, which is almost the same exact setup as this, so that way I can run competition, and then this pistol I can conceal carry. I like and prefer the HBI Industries trigger over the Overwatch trigger. That's just my solid opinion. And every single time I try to psych myself into thinking, oh yeah, the Overwatch is better now. It is what it is. I can't even say the Overwatch is better. It's something about that flat face on the HBI Industries trigger, and the break is stupid good. The break is dead serious. If you were to go in the kitchen, grab your carrot and break the carrot, the break on that trigger is that of breaking the carrot, with the exception of it's a lighter break. So the break is just break. This is breaking around consistently at 3.5 to 4 pounds, and the HBI Industries trigger is breaking around that 3.5 also. With that being said, I like the trigger shoe of this trigger. I love how it feels. It feels amazing. And I love the reset. That's very important. In my opinion, the reset is very key when it comes to this. The reset allowing me to aggressively get right back on that trigger is very important, because a trigger return spring that is weak in nature doesn't allow me to aggressively get right back on that trigger how I want to. So that way, when we're doing our fast shots and our follow-up shots, so not always you want to pay attention, of course, the break, the take up, and the slack, and all of those things. However, we also want to think about springing forward. I need my trigger to spring forward so I can get right back on that wall and appropriately slap it according to space and time, with also speed and accuracy being a factor. All right, closer distance targets, I'm able to get a little bit more aggressive, more of a slap of that trigger, and targets that are more of at a distance, that's when that shines with that reset and being able to break right at that wall. This trigger, as you can see, does not have a lot of travel thereafter. Once it breaks, it has just a little, see, slowly, and it breaks there. However, pay close attention to that. When it breaks, I'm not having to continue to travel. Once it's broke, it's right there and it stops, and then I'm able to go ahead and go right back to that wall. Other than that, let's see if we can get you a slight sight picture. As you can see, I'm able to co-witness in more of a lower 1/3. That's really how it looks. All right, I tried to black out the rear because, as you see, I got a solid black front. However, the combination that I got, and I was being too anxious and I wanted to quickly get it done, I went ahead and got the ones in the back that are not blacked out. However, I do have a set that are blacked out, but I can't remove it just yet because I can't remove my plate and I can't remove my optic. All right. TLR1 allows it to wear, once again, if we're speaking about a fighting pistol, so please stay tuned so you can have my ideologies as it pertains to firearms and being having a fighting pistol. My credentials are, I'm a training counselor for the USCCA, and I'm also a firearms instructor. With that being said, I speak into existence and help my students understand simplicity of firearms and having what it actually means for self-defense. So with that, not that my credentials mean anything, however, I've studied enough information to make sure everything that's on this firearm is functionable. All right, so everything needs to be function, and this needs to be ready. When this comes out, this baby here is my workhorse, and I mean that. This is my workhorse. I put anything through this thing, is going to fucking go. period. This thing is absolutely amazing. If I'm testing something, if I'm doing anything, lights, I'm dropping this thing, I'm purposely dropping this thing, things such as that. That's why I got little stupid scratches here and there. That's why you can see damages to the rear sight and everything. The point of telling you that is so you can understand that the CZ P10c, in my opinion, especially souped up, but mainly straight out the box, is better than any Glock, hands down. I don't care. It's not even up for discussion. I will not say that the Glock 19 or Glock 17 can outrun, beat the CZ P10 series, the F or the C or even the S, period. I am shutting that crap down. Out of the box, CZ, in my opinion, is literally the best pistol, bang for your buck at slightly reduced price compared to Glocks. All right, you get a better trigger, you get better sights. This is amazing. Ergonomics is absolutely amazing. Here, allowing me to get really extremely high up on the beaver tail with my bore axis. That's neither here nor there, because once again, the PDP and SIG, we kind of bust the myth of high bore axis and what that means in relations to returning of the sights, recoil management, and muzzle rise. So this pistol here allows me to code witness. I have a dot. Dots are the now, and they are the future. Dot is how anyone should be running, because as humans, we were threat focused. Our entire being, existence, we've been threat focused. Stop changing the nature of the human. Code witness sights is backup, just in case. I trust this optic with my life, period. There's no question about it. Trust all this electronical device. I trust it with my life. I'm not ashamed of it. All right. Another function of the TLR1 and or any light or device that goes to the front, I'm going to specifically talk about the TLR1. The TLR1 is a full-size weapon-mounted light which uses these toggles in order to activate the light. Okay, you have both steady and strobe, as you've seen, steady and strobe. With that being said, the TLR1 as itself weighs in at 4 ounces with both batteries in. So even if I did not have the function of light, I mainly carry with a light due to the 4 ounces in the weight that's on the front of it, allowing my dot to settle faster and more soon. I shoot as fast as my sight can see, and since I do that, I notice that with the light, I'm able to return my sights faster. Without the light, I am not able to return my sights faster, my dot faster, or let it settle faster. However, there's pros and cons when it comes to that. I am not the type of dude that goes out at night. You will not catch me outside at night. Rarely, seriously, do I go outside at night. Having a light depends on your lifestyle and how you live. I really don't. The light doesn't serve me as far as functionality with the light. All right, we of course need to identify our targets, but know yourself, your environment, your routine, and all these things. So I debunk as an instructor. I have a love-hate relationship with the light. My main purpose of having a light is so the functionality of having a weighted front and allowing my dot to settle faster. Now we're going to talk about the opposite. The opposite of having a light allows faster transitions. I do notice that I am slightly slower with transitions. With the light on there, with it being slightly more heavy, you will notice a slight, but it allows you also to slow down and settle on targets too. So as I'm transitioning from here to there, right, it allows me, I might be more sluggish getting over here. However, when slowing down, the extra weight allows me to slow down faster. However, if I do not have the light and during my transitions, without a light, it's faster, but I might over travel my intended target. We transition with our eyes lead, pistol follows. With that being said, because I'm getting heavy into competition this year, so there's pros and cons to a light. I do carry a handheld, and then I do have a weapon mounted light also, because you don't want to necessarily be looking for a quarter in the back seat and waving your kids down what your everyday carry compared to having a handheld and you can look for quarters. Handhelds are functional in all aspects, and it doesn't scare people because you don't have your pistol out. So other than that, this thing functions perfectly. I have about, I want to say 8,000 rounds through this thing now. All right, it's a lot of wear and tear. If I was to break this down and show you the internals, you can see all the polishing this thing and done. The not just racking just yet, is I'm not that many rounds out where, you know, I need to be at 10, 15,000, even 20,000 in order for that spring to be that loose. However, my spring is almost glass, if I can show you. Very, look at the relationship between that. So now my spring is very light. I'm able to do press checks with ease almost. Okay, so I'm upwards of probably 8,000 rounds through this thing, and it keep on going. I've tried spring kits, I've tried everything. I've thrown the HBI Industries trigger and the Overwatch trigger, and I combined both the firing pin with the trigger, and then I swapped, started to get light primer strikes, and switch that back out and put it right back, so that way, because when you start to mix the springs, I was just trial and error, all the way until I finally created this fighting pistol. And this here is really what I call a fighting pistol. I have this combined with, usually I have my, not usually, I do wear the next belt so I can have my 1/4 inch adjustments. With the next belt, I have this Tier 1 concealed padding, the large, wide, with a small, wide. Then I have the clips, okay? DLC clips. And then the Tier 1, excuse me, not Tier 1, this is the Tier 1. The filter holster with a TLR1 as such, and that is my EDC, okay? So of course you want belt, holster, pad for comfort. I appendix carry this rig here. I usually have my extended magazine. It looks very good. However, once again, I would prefer black. I should have got it black, so that way I'm not throwing off all these colors. Okay. So this here is what I call a fighting pistol. This thing is absolutely amazing. When you see the footage of me shooting this thing in action, and how fast I can run this thing, how fast my friends can run this thing. I put this in anyone's hand to run it. It runs very fast. It's easily shot. New shooters shoot it. I had taught a class yesterday for chicks and giggles. The woman, she didn't bring a pistol, so therefore I was only prepared with my dot-sighted pistols. So I went ahead and allowed her to use the dot. When she used the dot, she said this is like cheating. Precisely, it is like cheating. She was grouping literally, and she was puncturing the same exact hole repeatedly with the dot. And she said, why would anyone want to use iron sights if you have a dot? Precisely. However, these little notches been here for years, and we are trained to believe that we need to use these things. Red dots are the now, red dots are the future, red dots are taking over. It is what it is. Love-hate relationship with lights, transitions versus returning of the dot. You need to build you out a fighting pistol that's functional, that you can literally do any and everything to. This thing I know is going to work, bottom line, period. This thing functions, okay? I absolutely love this thing. Look how easy it is to rack this thing. This thing is extremely polished. This thing is absolutely amazing. Locks back every single time. There's nothing more to say about this thing. CZ P10c. especially over the Glock 19.